College? Classic? Did you say college classic campuses? Well, sure you did. Hey, we're reading the Septuagint with Apocrypha, and we're in Exodus 13. Would you like to help me here? Because, when it comes to reading, I can use all the help in the world. So, here we go. We're going to take off from Exodus 13 into what's going on here with Moses. So, Lord God Almighty, we ask you to entreat us and to teach us and to show us and to guide us as we walk through this fire. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and let them turn and encamp before the village between Magdol and the sea, opposite Beel-Saphon. Before them shalt thou encamp by the sea. And Pharaoh will say to his people, as for these children of Israel, they are wandering in the land, for the wilderness has shut them in. And I will harden the heart of Pharaoh, and he shall pursue after them, and I will be glorified in Pharaoh, and in all his hosts, and in all Egypt, and all the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord. And they did so. And it was reported to the king of the Egyptians that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh was turned, and that of his servants against the people. And they said, what is this that we have done to let the children of Israel go, so that they should not serve us? So Pharaoh yoked his chariots and led off all his people with himself, having also taken the 600 chosen chariots and all the cavalry of the Egyptians and rulers over all. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and of his servants, and he pursued after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went forth with a high hand, and the Egyptians pursued after them, and found them encamped by the sea, and all the cavalry and all the chariots of Pharaoh, and all the horsemen and all his host were before the village over against Baal-Zephon. And Pharaoh approached, and the children of Israel, having looked up, beheld, and the Egyptians encamped behind them, and they were very greatly terrified. And the children of Israel cried to the Lord and said to Moses, because there were no graves in the land of Egypt, hast thou brought us forth to slay us in the wilderness? Why, Moses, why? Why do you kill us? Why don't you just put a knife to our throats and tell us to stand in line and cut our throats, each and every single one of us? Why don't you just do it yourself? Why do you have to blame God? It's you, Moses. It's been you since get-go. Now get us out of this, or we'll condemn you with our words. Do it now, Moses. Can you imagine? So, what is this that thou hast done to us, having brought us out of Egypt? Is not this the word which we spoke to thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it is better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in this wilderness. What do you want, Moses? Huh? It's not good enough that you're gonna. It's not good enough that you killed us in Egypt, right? Or that we were led to Egypt by Joseph. These guys have turned against us. No, that's not good enough. But he wants to kill us here with the sword. Not a famine this time, no. You want to do it with the hand of Pharaoh himself. And Moses said to the people, be of good courage, stand and see the salvation which is from the Lord, which he will work for us this day. For as ye have seen the Egyptians today, you shall see them again no more forever. You're kidding. That's hard to believe. That's an army. You gonna fight them with that staff? Oh, come on down! I'll kick all your butts! Kind of swinging the staff. Him and Joshua, right? Joshua don't even have a staff. Moses is gonna stand there, right? Stuttering, and Joshua's gonna swing the staff. No, this isn't happening. Come on down. It's like that kid over in Downey, right? You couldn't talk very good. No, it's all right. Don't talk. We'll communicate another way. I've got the Holy Spirit, and you've got the Spirit. We can do this. Okay. So the Lord shall fight for you. You shall hold your peace. And the Lord said to Moses, why criest thou to me? Speak to the children of Israel and let them proceed. And do thou lift up thy rod, and stretch forth thy hand over the sea, and divide it. And let the children of Israel enter into the midst of the sea on dry land. And lo, I will harden the heart of Pharaoh and of the Egyptians, and they shall go in after them. And I will be glorified upon Pharaoh, and upon all his hosts, and all his chariots, and all his horses, and all the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord. When I am glorified upon Pharaoh, and upon Pharaoh, and upon his chariots and his horses, and the angel of God that went before the camp of the children of Israel removed and went behind in the pillar of the cloud, and also removed from before them and stood behind them, and it went between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and stood, and there was darkness and blackness. And the night passed, and they came not near to one another during the whole night. And Moses stretched out his hand he stretched forth over the sea, and the Lord carried back the sea with a strong wind all the night, and made the dry land, and the water was divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on dry land and the water, and it was all a wall of right hand, and on the left, nothing but water, a wall of water. Okay, so my friend told me that probably a rubber band or something, earthquake out in the middle of the ocean, put it back where there was shallow ground. But here it says that there was a wall of water on each side. So that's not true. There was no shallow ground. God divided the water. You're wrong, Francesco. And the Egyptians pursued them and went in after them, and every horse of Pharaoh and his chariots and his horsemen into the midst of the sea. And it came to pass in the morning watch that the Lord looked forth on the camp of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud, and troubled the camp of the Egyptians, and bound the axle trees of their chariots, and caused them to go with difficulty. And the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fights for them against the Egyptians. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch forth thine hand over the sea, and let the water be turned back to its place, and let it cover the Egyptians, coming both upon the chariots and the riders. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the water returned to its place toward day, and the Egyptians fled from the water. And the Lord shook off the Egyptians in the midst of the sea, and the water returned and covered the chariots and the riders and all the forces of evil, which are Pharaoh. Who entered after them into the sea, and there was not left one of them, even one. But the children of Israel went along dry land in the midst of the sea, and the water was to them a wall on the right hand and on the left. So the Lord delivered Israel and that day from the land of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the shore of the sea. And Israel saw the mighty hand of the things which the Lord did to the Egyptians. And the people feared the Lord, and they believed God and Moses his servant. It's funny because when this happened, not only did it happen, but moreover, it was all over the news in Egypt. that a god was pissed off at Pharaoh and destroyed it. So they were going into Egypt and robbing Egypt blind, and there was no one there to stop them. Kind of like Riverside County Sheriff's Department. No, I'm just playing. Riverside County, though. There are people coming in here and they're robbing, they're stealing, they're doing stuff, and you have very few officers willing to do something. And they're claiming it's the end of the world. It's sad when you see a likeness like that in law enforcement. But it's even more sad to hear it's the end of the world. I'm Jesus Christ. This is called. No, I'm not. I'm TcYbarra. I have no right to judge, and neither do you. That's why. God says, in the manner in which you judge, you will be judged. God bless you. They 6 or 7 surrounding cities got together, went into Egypt, and they lifted up a new king, a new Egyptian king, quickly, named him Pharaoh, and they stood guard there. So everyone that was coming back or was coming would say it was a lie. I read it, I studied it, and I couldn't believe it. Because there was no law. And there would have been no law. Familiar, EBT? I'm TcYbarra. God bless you.